Another popular symbol used in many forms of propaganda during World War II was the ubiquitous V for victory. Originally proposed in a 1941 BBC broadcast to occupied Europe, at first it was simply the letter V, which stood for the word victory in English and French and the word freedom in Dutch and Flemish. But this was later broadened to include the 3 dots and a dash Morse code for the letter V, the opening bars of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, and the V hand gesture. The latter became especially associated with British Prime Minister Winston Churchill. Wartime comic book covers use the V in many different ways. Characters make the V for victory gesture, or we see the actual letter V, or the Morse code 3 dots and a dash. Sometimes all 3 of these variations are used, along with the word victory prominently displayed on the cover.
V stands for victory. Victors of tyranny. V stands for victory. Let that be your hymn. V for victorious in the air, on land and sea. Let every mother son until the war is won make his motto V for victory.
V's were also visually incorporated into comic book cover design and artwork, including architectural forms, graffiti, formations of aircraft, and other imaginative manifestations.
V stands for victory, victors of tyranny. V stands for victory, let that be your hymn. V for victorious in the air, on land and sea. Let every mother's son until the war is won make his motto V for victory.
Comic book characters even utilize the V in their name and costumes. The V hand sign was the most prevalent and universal gesture of the war, but comic book covers also made use of the thumbs up and the military salute. The former was a sign of confidence and approval, while the latter was respectful and patriotic, often used to honor servicemen and/or the American flag. In addition to codes and symbols, comic book covers of the Second World War also feature some recurring themes and motifs. For instance, a large number of covers contain images of globes and maps. On the macro symbolic scale, globes and maps illustrate the global extent of the conflict, suggest the worldwide nature of the battle against fascism, and hint at the stakes in play. The fate of the entire world, of civilization on Earth itself, is at risk. Pep Comics number 22, with a cover date of December 1941, is a prescient allegory showing the spiked boot of fascism attempting to trample the globe, with American flag costume superhero The Shield standing up for freedom from oppression. On Pep Comics number 28, the Hangman and Nazi supervillain Captain Swastika face off with the United States as their battleground. National Comics number 23 also uses the United States as a backdrop as Uncle Sam and his young sidekick surprise a would-be Japanese invader. On the cover of America's Best number 10, the Axis flags which cover the globe are tacked down with daggers, signifying the brutal nature of the enemy's lust for world domination, but the 4 superheroes carrying the flags of the Allied nations, Russia, the United States, Great Britain, and China, are prepared to lift the shrouds of oppression. The comic book covers which contain images of maps on a micro scale almost always depict these documents in conjunction with Axis plans for invasion of the United States or another tactical move towards world domination. One cover which combines both symbolic and realistic aspects is Boy Comics number 4, cover dated June 1942, drawn by Charles Biro. Juvenile superhero Crime Buster and his associates crash into Axis headquarters, where Hitler, Mussolini, and the usual generic Japanese caricature are slicing up and devouring the globe like a pie. Another repeated motif in wartime propaganda was the allegorical linkage between the war on fascism and the world of sports. Boxing, baseball, football, even bowling. It was us versus them, and naturally we were the better athletes. We would be the winners. The cover of Big Shot Comics number 46, dated June 1944, shows a muscular Uncle Sam delivering a knockout punch to Hitler, while simultaneously warning Hirohito or Tojo, or whoever the Japanese character is supposed to be, "You're next." Deconstructing this further, note that Joe Palooka is in the foreground. This character was a professional boxer in pre-war comics, but joined the army during World War II. Thus, his comments about Uncle Sam being the real champ are those of an informed expert. This cover also makes an implied reference to the Germany First policy during the war, whereby the primary focus of the Allied forces was on the defeat of Nazi Germany, with Japan to follow. The Japanese character is approaching Uncle Sam from behind, and is also carrying a knife, hardly a legal weapon in a boxing match. This not only broadly criticized the enemy as breaking the rules and not playing fair, it also specifically references Japan's stab-in-the-back attack on Pearl Harbor. Finally, notice the discarded piece of fabric upon which Uncle Sam is standing. This bears the name Benito and the fasces emblem that gave fascism its name, suggesting that Mussolini, the third member of the Axis, has thrown in the towel in defeat and is no longer participating in the war, as indeed he was not. By the time this issue went on sale, Mussolini had been out of power for nearly 9 months. There were, of course, other themes and motifs, such as demonization of the enemy and linking comic book superheroes with the American Armed Forces, and these shall be discussed in upcoming episodes.